Hey y'all, I'm gonna do another knife review. This is the James brand Carter. I believe this is one of their newer knives. I just got it the other day. My wife gave it to me for my birthday, and she picked it out. I was actually really impressed. This is the type of knife I like to carry if I'm carrying a dedicated knife. I'm not carrying a Victorinox or Swiss Army knife, something like that. If I'm carrying just a regular knife, this is the type of knife, not necessarily this one, that I like to carry. Probably 2.5-inch blade, I think, almost 3-inch blade, nice and straight with a big belly on it. Those are the kind of knives that I'm drawn to. Pretty cool things about this knife. It looks like it's a little bit innovative from what I can tell so far. I know that a slide lock or the axis lock is nothing new. But this is their iteration of that. It has what they're calling the slide lock. And this one seems to be functioning just fine. I know I've had problems with the Benchmade in the past because their axis lock wound up, one of the springs broke on it. And I know Benchmade's a popular brand, but I have to say I haven't been too impressed with their knives. I mean, they're all right, but I would have to say that I'm definitely more impressed with James brand than I am Benchmade. They're quality knives, and everything my wife has told me, because both of my James brands my wife gave me, she says their customer service is awesome. But some cool things about this knife. Number one, let's just go over the specs on it. It has a 2.8-inch blade, or 2.8 centimeter blade, I guess you'd say. It's a VG10 type steel, which I'm actually really excited about. I've heard a lot of good things about VG10. It's like a mid-grade type of steel. So it'll sharpen a little easier, yet it's not necessarily your crapo type steels. So I'm really excited about using it. It's got G10 scales on it. These are the white G10. I guess it's some kind of faux bone. I guess it's supposed to look like bone or something. But I tell you, the cool thing about this, the features that stand out with this knife are the thumb stud, which is basically, it's just a plate. I have not seen that. Maybe it's not a first as far as knives go, but it's the first one that I've seen. It has this type of plate. I believe they call it some sort of thumb rest plate, which actually, when it's open, you can, rest your thumb there, and it gives you a nice purchase on your knife, which is really cool. I love that aspect of the knife. The problem with this plate is it's rounded. You see that it's got a nice round edge, and when you're flicking it open, sometimes your thumb just wants to slide over it instead of flicking it out. So the way you have to open it is you have to, instead of pushing up, you kind of have to push out a little bit. But it still functions all right. I wish it had some sort of gnarling or grippiness to the edge of that plate. But you see, that's where they put the gripness on the underside of the plate. I guess they expect you to flick it outwards instead of upwards. But that's interesting. I do like the fact that it gives you a nice thumb rest when it's open. That is cool. But yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen something like that. I don't know if y'all have ever seen anything as far as thumb plates or plates on the top of the knife. But I would have to say I do like it overall, but it does need some sort of texture to the edge of that round plate. The other cool thing, and I have to say my favorite thing about this, is the way they did their clip. You see inside the box, it came with 3 different options you can use for the clip. It has, I guess it's designed to where you can have 2 different sides, right-handed or left-handed clip placement. But it also has a lanyard loop attachment. So what you do is you unscrew this screw here, put this attachment in, and screw it back, and what it does is it gives you a lanyard loop. I wound up not going with that. I tried it for a while, but the problem was the end of the lanyard loop is squared, and it's kind of pointy. It's really like a screwdriver head. And the problem with that is, while it's attached, when you go to close your knife blade, a lot of times you'll kind of like anchor the bottom of your knife. At least I do this. Anchor the bottom of the knife into your palm, pull back on your slide lock, and pull your blade in. So this would stab the palm of my hand. Very uncomfortable. It hurt. So it was nice to, you get your knife out and use it and everything, and it would just keep poking the palm of your hand, and it would just keep stabbing. They did come with an option to just make it smooth. So you have this little attachment here. You put it in there, and it would make the whole bottom of the knife smooth. But I was thinking, I was like, I want a lanyard loop on my knives. I'm kind of a fan of the lanyard loop, but what has worked out really well is, instead of putting this attachment in there, I just undid the screw, crammed my lanyard in the little space there, and screwed the screw in right inside the loop. So it's attached. It's attached really well. And this has to be my favorite lanyard of all time, because look, it stays stretched out. It doesn't flop around. A lot of lanyards you have that have this type of lanyard loop on there, they're just flinging all over the place, and they get in the way of your blade and your hand when you're working. But this just stays out of the way. And I guess it's because instead of the loop being, flat like that, it's sideways. See? It's a sideways loop basically, and it just keeps it does not want to flop around. It's perfect. I love it. It just stays stretched out, so when you're using it, it just does not get in the way. It's perfect. So James Brands ought to advertise for that, because that's the best lanyard loop that I've ever had. It's perfect. You can't improve on it, in my opinion. And there's nothing there to cause you any kind of discomfort in the palm of your hand when you're closing your blade. So that's awesome. I found that to be pretty innovative when it comes to knives. Like, I've never seen the different attachments, and then I've never seen a lanyard loop like this being attached. Of course, I don't think they designed it like that, but that's what they ought to advertise, because that's the best way to attach a lanyard to this knife. The clip, I didn't go keep the clip because it really sticks out a lot. See that? Well, actually, I take that back. This part goes inside that space there, so it doesn't stick out that much. But even when it's in there, it still stuck out quite a bit, and I just wasn't a big fan of that. Plus, I'm trying to carry this inside the pouch deal that they came with. I've gotten to where I'm a pretty big fan of the lanyard loops now, and I'm a big fan of basically knife pouches. They're really comfortable. You slide them in your pocket. You need your pocket knife, just grab your lanyard, and bam, you're ready for business. So yeah, sure enough. Anyway, I'm overall a big fan of this knife. I would definitely give it a shot. I'm going to keep using it and carrying it around. And probably won't carry it around as much as some other knives, just because it is expensive. It's on the higher side for me, $140. But it'll definitely be my church-going knife, something classy to whip out and trim your fingernails with during the sermon. But anyway, guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and we'll see you next time.